I have been promising this and you've been asking for this for weeks, so wait no more. We've got growth charts, we've got record low vacancy rates, we have got potential in this market like we haven't seen in years. We've got some suburb area details, but should you buy property here? The Perth Property Market. I've got all of this covered and more. Hello, all of you lovely people. As always, I am here giving you the best unbiased and honest commentary about the property markets, along with some really awesome hints and tips. So stick around. Hello, everyone. I'm doing a Perth property report today. We are going to be looking at what's been happening here, what's been driving that property market, and why it might be a good time to buy, where you could consider putting your money. But just before we do that, here's today's question to you. Have any of you bought property in the Perth market in the past 5 years or so? And if so, how has it been going? Have you noticed an upswing in values and rents recently? Because I certainly have. I own property in the south of Perth, and after a tricky few years, finally the rents it's going up. And I'm also getting more clients asking about property in Perth. But tell me about your experiences. I'd really love to hear your questions, your thoughts, your comments, anything Perth related. And also, you know that I do area video reports. So tell me whether you'd be interested in some specific Perth suburb area reports. Let me know in the comments below. And just really quickly, if you are still worried about all this COVID business affecting the property markets, then have a little watch of this video here, which I hope will help a little bit. Okay, so Perth's property market. Perth has given us quite the wild ride in the last few years, hasn't it? We have gone from boom to bust after the GFC, to steady decline, to flatline. The Perth property market has been weak for several years on the back of the resources downturn. But are the wild times over? A possible turnaround in the economy is tipped to lead to stronger demand. Stay tuned to hear more. Now, as an overview, this is possibly the most buoyant Perth market that we have seen in several years. According to Terry Ryder, there are currently almost 60 rising suburbs across the Perth metro area in terms of sales volumes, with growth areas dominated by the affordable markets. What's really worth noting is that 4 years ago, his survey recorded 0 growth suburbs in Perth, but 58 suburbs classified as declining or danger markets. So much has changed, including a really big reduction in vacancy rates and a very busy activity from first home buyers, boosted by high levels of government assistance against a backdrop of the pandemic being brought under control early and consistently. The state economy is improving and a high level of consumer confidence is back. According to a recent ABS News report, properties across Perth sold in November, just gone, at the fastest rate since 2006. Another factor right now in Perth is that vacancy rates are at almost record lows. In recent years, vacancy rates have been quite high, but they have dropped to those near record low levels, leading to some predictions of 20% increases in rents in 2021. Both the Real Estate Institute of WA and SQM Research figures show vacancy rates have now dropped to approximately 0.9%. At the same time, lending figures reveal a significant drop in loans to investors for properties in Perth and WA in general. This is a key factor to the low supply of rental properties. And it's no surprise, of course, they shut us all out. They closed their borders to the rest of the country during COVID, and they introduced tenancy laws that made it less attractive to buyers to invest. There are currently 53% fewer properties listed for rent than at the same time last year. And all of this means an increase of around $25 per week in median rents in the last 12 months. Under those emergency COVID laws, landlords are not allowed to increase rents while an existing tenant is in the property. Now, we all expect rents to rise a fair amount once this rent freeze is hopefully removed in March 2021. So, does all of this mean that the market has bottomed out? Now, before we continue, all of you lovely people out there watching but not subscribed yet, and I know you're out there because YouTube gives us an analytics tab that we can spend hours poring over. And there are literally twice as many of you watching who aren't subscribers yet. So come on, guys, please help me get to that magic 500 subscriber mark ASAP. I hope I'm giving you, I think I am, real, genuine and awesome content here. So I'm going to be totally shameless about this and beg. It's just down there, guys. Come on, give it a little click. And while you're down there, hit the like button too. It really does help and I do really appreciate it. Shameless begging over, back to Perth. So what are the future prospects for this market? Similarly to many other state governments, WA is pushing ahead with massive infrastructure projects which will help boost the state's economic recovery. The state government is investing almost $12 billion on building transport infrastructure over the next 4 years. For example, the Tonkin Highway upgrade work has been fast-tracked, with the upgrade expected to cut time off the daily commute for around 17,000 road users. Work on the $1.8 billion Forest Field Airport link is also progressing with 4 kilometres of track already laid. This is a new rail service to the eastern suburbs of Perth, as you can see here. And the project includes the construction of the Airport Central Station and other stations, with trains to be operational on that line, let's say late 2021. It's only one of 8 MetroNet projects underway, which are expected to provide thousands of jobs and boost the economy. The $700 million MetroNet Morley-Ellenbrook line is also happening, and this provides 5 new stations and is expected to be complete by, again, 2024. The federal government approved the building of a parallel runway at Perth Airport to support the resource industry. The economic impact of this runway is significant. The airport is near capacity during peak times because of fly-in, fly-out mining flights. Anyone who's been to the Perth airport in the mornings, anytime recently, let's say even before COVID more so, that it's chaos. The FIFO flight slots at the airport have risen to between 95 and 100%, which means that there is little room for standard passenger flights in the early morning slots. The runway will inject $2 billion into the tourism sector and contribute $7.9 billion to the national economic output in its first 2 decades. Now, in terms of the WA economy, what's really interesting is that Australian Bureau of Statistics figures show that WA's economy's increase in gross state product was higher in the past financial year than any other state. The WA economy has grown for 3 consecutive years, and we've seen this momentum happening. The mining sector has started to kick in again, with more than half of all research jobs advertised nationally in the 3 months to August 2020 being in WA. So, does all of this mean that it is now safe to buy here? Stay tuned for some area suggestions. Perth property prices are tipped to boom on the back of a strengthening economy and a resurgence in the resources industry. Analysis by ANZ Bank has tipped property values to increase by 12% next year, while Westpac is predicting an 18% increase in Perth property prices between June 2021 and mid-2023. According to the Real Estate Institute of WA, many suburbs and regional and metropolitan areas are expecting strong demand. Now, they are tipping a more conservative price increase of 5% by June 21. Lack of investors, low interest rates, expats returning from overseas to live in WA during the pandemic, and more importantly, a chronic property undersupply in recent years have increased that demand as the state economy improves. So here are some council areas that you might like to consider. At the moment, the growth markets in Perth are dominated by the cheaper areas where first home buyers are particularly active. Wanneroo, Gosnells, Rockingham, Armadale all offer affordable land and houses, and they account for almost half of the rising suburbs in terms of sales volumes across the Perth metropolitan area at the moment. Wanneroo has 13 suburbs with rising sales activity. The Rockingham LGA in the far south is also strong-looking market. 6 of the 9 suburbs in this municipality are rising markets. Also in the south of Perth, the Armadale LGA is surging with 5 growth suburbs. In the more middle price ranges, the Stirling LGA is once again a very strong market with 6 rising suburbs. Conversely, the top end of the Perth markets is not really yet showing any clear signs of an uplift, in spite of them having had some overall annual growth to the median price. There are no current growth suburbs in the LGAs of Mossman Park, Cottesloe, Claremont, Netherlands, Perth, South Perth or Subiaco. ABS data shows that investor participation in WA is starting to increase, rising to 17% after bottoming out in April last year. Now, this figure is still well below the over 30% rate recorded 5 years ago. The Real Estate Institute of WA says that investors need to be enticed back into the market to increase stock levels. And one way to do this was for the government to ensure that those COVID-19 emergency tenant laws will be removed in March 21. The Institute has said that investors were sitting on the sidelines partially due to these laws, which, as we've said before, prevent rent increases on existing tenancies and evictions. Now, of course, the state government wants to and needs to protect the people who are financially vulnerable. But we're finding that they're actually contributing to, if not inadvertently causing, this rental crisis at the moment that we're seeing there. Demand is far outstripping supply, causing rents to rise, and those that need a rental home are facing really stiff competition, with some tenants offering $50 a week more than the advertised rent to try and secure their next home. The state government needs to send that clear signal to the market that they have no intention of extending the legislation further if WA remains relatively COVID-19 free. So what we're seeing here in Perth is that price performance has not yet fully caught up with the general uplift in all this activity. It's really just gaining momentum. But all the signs are there that this is due to happen this year. So watch this space and we will keep giving you the latest news and updates. And don't forget to just let me know your questions and thoughts in the comments below. Now, I am giving you the best commentary and content on our channel here, so please let me ask it again. I'm begging. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you get all my expert hints and tips around buying, owning and investing property as soon as I post it. If you are enjoying all the free content and if you are finding it useful, which I really hope that you are, then please click on the all-important like button too. It does make a difference. It sends my videos out to more people. I really appreciate that support and I will see you again soon with more updates. Bye.